Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back once again to the Operational Intelligence Market Overview at Inside Analysis. My name is Eric Cavanaugh with the Bloor Group. I'll be your moderator for our demo today of InetSoft. We're going to be taking a demo from Katie Rusi and also Mark Flaherty over there at InetSoft. I've actually known about these guys for quite a long time, so it's a very mature product we're learning about today. And with that, Katie, I'll turn the floor over to you. Show us what InetSoft does in the space of operational intelligence.
All right. Again, welcome everyone. So what we have in front of us is an example of a monitoring dashboard that our product creates. So what our focus is for operational intelligence. You're operating a business. You want to be able to monitor different aspects of your overall business or just particular departments. So what we have in front of us, again, a monitoring dashboard where we have some key performance indicators, our KPIs, year-to-date sales versus last year, year-to-date returns. We have an overall view of certain employees' performance for this quarter, whether or not they have met their quota. With our product, with the interactive dashboards, you can have charts filtering other charts and crosstabs. We have an example of this with our weekly sales trends or volume versus revenue. What you can do is you can select one or more than one point to highlight and have them filter your product sales summary, your sales by state, to get a view of that particular set of data that you chose to highlight. With our product, there is out-of-the-box framework for hierarchies. So when you want to see an overall view, such as your net sales, sales, and returns, and so on, for each of your product categories, but you also want to be able to see it for individual products. What we allow you to do is we allow you to drill in to that particular product category to see each of the products that make up that product category, and you'll notice that all of our net sales, sales, returns have re-aggregated to show the breakdown by each of those products. So this is a way that you can have a high-level monitoring process and drill in and see the details right with this view. With our charting tool, we support mapping. We adhere to the shapefile standard, so what that means for you is that any particular map that you want to create, if we do not provide one out of the box that fits your needs, you can take a shapefile and integrate it with our product. Here we're looking at our sales by state. With our nice interactive maps, you can also have a really nice breakdown of the sales by your different categories here. So it's a nice little table view that's overlaid on top of the chart, telling you what those particular sales are for the state you're choosing to highlight. When you have a monitoring dashboard like this, you want to be able to have visual alerts. There are many different ways you can set up a visual alert with our charts and tables and crosstab views. One way is to dynamically highlight the background of rows of a table. You see our product inventory status. We have it set up to let us know what our number in stock in comparison to what we've sold. So here we can see that we've sold more than we actually have in stock. So we have that dynamically highlighted in red automatically so it catches your eye. It's a way that you can monitor your process, and then from an operational standpoint, you can then have hyperlinks from your dashboard into a detailed report as to what the current status is, when the next shipment's coming in. So it all can improve your workflow and your efficiency at catching problems before they actually escalate. You can do the same thing with charts, such as your employees' performance for this quarter. If they had not met their quota, their bar would have been in red. And then I can, again, drill in and I can see what sales they're doing, maybe see where they're struggling, and reach out and help. So again, it's a focus on being able to know exactly what's going on in your business and enabling you to then analyze and have quick action on those points. What we'd like to do now is highlight how you can create a simplified dashboard with a simple drag and drop web interface. The great thing about our operational business intelligence solution is that you can actually enable power users, you can enable end users to create their own dashboard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to a data source connection that has been created for me by a developer, and now I, as a power user, can go in and create my own monitoring dashboard. What we have in front of us is our workspace. We have a grid for elements such as tables and crosstabs that are row and column oriented, and then other elements such as charts and images will float above the grid. That way you can really customize your layout. We also allow you to resize the rows and columns as well. On our left-hand side with our toolbox, we have the traditional data view elements, tables, charts, crosstabs. We have dynamic filtering elements, which can allow you to investigate and filter down your data if you would so desire. We have the output elements for visualizing different types of totals. They don't just have to be some sort of aggregated total. They could be a maximum value, an average, or some sort of percentage calculation. That way you can cover all of your KPIs and important metrics. There are also some other elements such as the dynamic input elements, which allow you to further manipulate your data, and of course the shape elements for getting the customized look and feel that you like to have for your dashboard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop to create our example dashboard. I'll go ahead and I'll start off with a chart. I can drag and drop this into my workspace. I can of course resize and move it around to place it however I prefer. And then our simple data binding, we have a little edit button, and now I can drag and drop particular fields to visualize. So maybe I'm most interested in a more high-level view of my product sales data. So I want to look at my product category, not the individual product names. So I can go ahead and I can drag and drop that into my X binding. Maybe I'm more interested in the overall quantities purchased, not the actual sales after it's been calculated in by price, so I can go ahead and I can put the total quantity purchased of all of my different product categories. I also want to see how my salespeople are doing in terms of which salesperson is selling which particular product categories. What I can do is I can drag and drop that salesperson first name into our multi-dimensional visualization. So this way I'm slowly just building this operational dashboard where I can monitor my sales. I know that I have historical data as well as up-to-date data in this. I can drag and drop a range slider, which will allow me to filter my data. What I then have is I have my order date when the order was placed, and I can go ahead and I can drag and drop that into my workspace. I can, of course, resize this element and position it so that my dashboard has a really nice, crisp, clean look and feel to it and a very professional outlook. So now what I can do is I can choose to filter down to the most recent past few months, maybe a full year's worth of data, to see a particular year's breakdown of the quantity purchased of each of the product categories and a distribution as to which salespeople made those particular sales. If I also know that I want to have some interaction with my customer information because I'm interested in some details with this particular operational overview, what I can do is I can drag and drop a selection element, and I can drag and drop my customer company name on there. You notice as I do this, I am working in live edit mode. You have the option to work in a metadata mode. What it will do is it will, right now, be giving me a small subset of my data to work with. You'll see that without me even being in a preview mode, I can automatically start filtering my data to see how that particular customer's quantity purchased of the different products that they've purchased over time in the specific date range. So you just continue with the drag and drop, adding more elements, including different background elements, to enable you to really have a nice, crisp operational dashboard for monitoring your overall sales information. Just to give you a look and feel as to what some of the output elements look like, you can completely customize the look and feel of this. I have many different faces that I can choose to select. So maybe there's a certain one that matches a theme that I'm going with visually. I can go ahead and I can choose that. and I can choose to put my overall revenue number based on the particular filtering I've done and actually have that full number displayed here, and I can monitor that. Once I'm done building my dashboard, my administrators have set it up so that way I can save within certain folders. And once I save it, then other people who have permissions within those folders can then automatically see this operational dashboard that I've created and to begin interacting with it right away. I can add as many different chart elements as I want. I can mix chart and cross-tab and table type view elements. It's all about real estate, so having the dynamic filtering allows one chart to answer multiple business questions about your operations. So what you can do is you can use our simple drag and drop web interface, and even power users can develop and answer their own operational business questions. Are there any questions?
Yeah, so on the right-hand side where you've got customer and you've got these different options here, you can select and deselect those, or can you show us how that works?
Yes, so with the filtering, the way it works is this is a selection list where I can do a single or multiple selections, so I can choose a couple of companies if I would like to. This right now is populated with my entire list of customers that I've sold to. We have this option to reverse the selection, so if I now want to see how all of the other companies are, it will automatically reverse my selection for me, and everything will update. There are other options for very similar filtering elements. You can have selection trees, which allow you to have a hierarchical view of actual different, you can have the product category and then the products within those product categories and filter on them in that sort of view as well. You can have as many different selection lists as you need.
Okay, good. And in terms of allowing access to only certain people, you mentioned that there are administrators or developers who do that. Are you able to use SharePoint and built-in functionality with something like SharePoint, or do those permissions need to be set in InetSoft?
We can hook into other security settings that you have. You would create a custom hook into something like SharePoint where we're leveraging those types of permissions. And it all depends on your needs. We can leverage already created permissions, or at least we can leverage the single sign-on aspects, the username and passwords, and pass those sorts of credentials. And then you can, on our side, control which users have permissions to design their own dashboards versus just view certain dashboards.
I see. Okay, good. And what about alerts? I mean, can you set thresholds in here and have alerts go out, whether by email or text, mail, SMS, or something like that?
Yes, so with the visual alerts, it's not just having a certain element being dynamically highlighted based on a threshold when you run the dashboard. You can also set up that dashboard to have an alert feature. You can have it alert you just as a pop-up when you run the dashboard, or you can work it into our scheduler tool. And what you can have it do is you can have the dashboard itself delivered as an email, or you can just check that threshold and just send out an email based on that threshold. Depending on the type of service you have, there also is some SMS support for certain services where they allow you to receive it from a certain email address, and that is how we would send that sort of alert.
Okay, good. And in terms of connecting to different data sources, is that something the developer needs to do, or can you authorize an end user who has proven him or herself to be fairly good at that stuff to go and access data sets as well, or how does that work?
So the data source connections themselves to relational type databases, Java APIs, web services, all of that is controlled through the desktop developer tool, so it would need to be installed on a designated developer's machine. But we do have the option for our data worksheet, which is an optional data layer, And what that data worksheet can enable power users to do is to actually pull in raw Excel files and work off of those directly.
Okay, cool. Well, this is good stuff. I think you did a very good job of quickly giving an overview of what this stuff does. Those are all the questions off the top of my head. Anyone else out there have any questions?
Well, I guess the only thing that I'd be interested in beyond what's been discussed is the connections to data, in a sense of how comprehensive they are, or who do you partner with, or whatever.
All right, so for the data source connections, we adhere to the open standards. So as long as the data source adheres to those open standards, there's almost no data source we cannot at least create a custom connection to, if not an out-of-the-box connection. We connect to Excel files, CSV files, just overall text files. We connect to relational type databases through JDBC drivers such as SQL Server, Oracle, DB2, MySQL, and others. That's just a short sample list. We can connect to SAP. We have a Salesforce data loader connection that you can set up. There are other custom web services, Java APIs. We have a connection for Google Analytics. And on demand, as needed, we work with customers to create custom connections to certain web services and other custom software that they might have that they want to extract data from.
Okay, great.
Do you have any customers that are providing with data streams, or does this tend to be just data sources?
I believe it's mostly just data sources in terms of what we've been working with right now.
Okay.
Okay, good. Well, that was a very well done overview, I'd have to say. Thank you so much. We've been talking to Katie Rusi, and Mark Flaherty's back there somewhere behind her, and they are with InetSoft. Find more about them online at InetSoft.com. Thank you so much, guys. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.